During a recent inspection of the commercial area at Khyndai Lad, Shillong, Tourism Minister Lyngdoh had spoken on the state government's intention of turning the area into a pedestrian zone whereby plying of vehicles and occupying of hawkers of the area will no longer be permitted. Following this, the Secretary of the Police Bazaar Welfare Society, Devendra Singhania, who had spoken to a few newspersons on the 21st of April 2023, while agreeing to the congestion created by plying of vehicles in the area, lamented on the fact that the main reason for congestion is the occupancy of street vendors of the empty spaces along the road. He further informed that the locality, which is not against the hawkers and street vendors, had approached the state government on a few counts to request for relocation of the vendors, as each person has a right to livelihood.
On the 4th, that our Honorable Tourism Minister, Lyngdoh, had come for an inspection into the PB area for making into a pedestrian zone, saying that this area is very much congested, so it's difficult for the pedestrian to move. But here I would like to bring to the notice of all that the main reason for congestion is not the cars that are moving in PB area, but the street vendors who have occupied most of the spaces, empty spaces on the road and the pedestrian, which is the real cause for congestion. See, now before main cause is the hawkers or the street vendors. We are not against the street vendors or the hawkers. We have been requesting the government to reallocate them because everybody has got a right to livelihood. So we are requesting, and we have told the government several times to kindly identify proper space where the street vendors can do their business in a dignified manner rather than on the roads. We have seen in places like Chandigarh, Goa, where we have the hawking zone or the free zone, a space which is allocated to the hawkers, and all the people around who wants to purchase or do shopping with the hawkers go to these particular points and they do their business there. But here we don't understand why the government is so reluctant to allocate such places for the street vendors.
With regards to turning Khyndai Lad to a pedestrian zone, the Secretary of the Police Bazaar Welfare Society said that the government should keep in mind the grievances of the 300-odd families who have been staying in the particular locality for over a century.
See, before you take into consideration any act or any law that you pass that to make the PB a pedestrian zone, you have to think the grievances of the residents who are staying in the locality for the last 100 years. Each family in the area are having sick people, old people, young children, babies who are going to schools. In times of emergencies, we have to take our senior citizenships to the hospital. How it is possible to make a residential area into a pedestrian zone? We don't say that it is a completely residential area. It is a commercial residential area which is there for the last 100 years. For the last 100 years, it has been a commercial residential areas, and we have been allowed to bring our vehicles in. So before taking any decision, the grievances of the residents are to be kept in mind, and to see that they are not harassed in any manner. But the main cause of congestion, again I will say, is the street vendors. We are always ready to cooperate with the government in any manner, but not at the stake of our livelihood also. Because if you don't allow cars, how we are going to move, how our families are going to move around? This is not only a commercial area, it is a residential area which the government has to understand. To point that approximately 300 families are staying in the area which have direct access to the residence through the main road via Thana Road and Lower Police Bazaar area, which have direct access. We have nearly 300 families. So if it is going to be made a pedestrian zone, these 300 families will be really affected in terms of cannot be connected with their residence through vehicles.
Devendra Singhania, who had also spoken on the local beautification of the Police Bazaar area, said that the government's proposal will be next to impossible as there is not much space for the project to be implemented due to daily traffic congestion. He further added that the only solution to this problem is for the state government to clear the road of the heavy traffic jam that has been causing daily congestion in the busiest commercial area in the city.
Beautification program by the government of Meghalaya, which was praised by one and everyone, and we have seen in different localities the amount of beautification has been done. We also wanted to do it in Police Bazaar to upgrade it because this is the main hub of the city as well as the state of Meghalaya, and tourists coming from different parts of the country do want to visit Police Bazaar. But tell me one thing, where is the space for beautification? There is no space for beautification unless and until the roads are cleared. We have many programs in our mind. We have received funds from the government, which we really appreciate, which are lying in the bank of no use because we cannot have any beautification program until and unless the roads are cleared. You have seen the overhead cables, which is an eyesore to the areas. So unless and until things are moved in a proper manner and proper mechanism is put in place, the beautification program cannot be held here. So we request the government to kindly take necessary due action on this so that we also can participate in the beautification program as the other localities have done. Thank you.